Beautiful. Oh my gosh, you guys, good morning. We have a special surprise. Colin was able to show up. I would swear I would not have it any other way. I've been focusing my energies and attentions on Colin being here, saying he's going to have power. This is going to work. And here he is. So I'm super, super excited about that. So far, right? It could be a little unstable. So hang in with us. And I want to make sure I can read everyone's comments. So I got to get to the right spot here. It takes a little while for it to pop up on my side, for it to show up, because technology likes to do things like that, have delays and all kinds of fun stuff. So, okay, I might just log out of this. We have some really great things to talk about. There is a lot of things changing. And what I was just talking about with Colin this morning is really being, what, what hold the line means. People are hearing this, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line, and actually, energetically, it takes me back to, like 1776. Our world, our experiences are always repeating themselves until we wake up from this dream and realize that we don't want to repeat the past anymore. And, we want to understand what a frequency fence is. How were we sleeping? Why were we sleeping? Why is this repeating itself? And, holding the line is holding a consciousness. And that's what we're doing energetically. And, I think that when we go back and think about all of this, and we listen to other people, other, I don't know what you want to call them, seers, other people that just know things, people that are in touch with their higher selves, healers. I don't really care what word you choose, right? Some of them are more authentic, and others, still kind of in the mixed vibrations. But you know, this is important time. This is an important time because it's a culmination of thousands and thousands of years, and then within our own history, hundreds and hundreds of years that we can recall. And Colin and I were talking this morning about, the capabilities and abilities that we all have. This isn't, what he does or what I do or what other of these people, healers, seers, feelers, believers, patriots, it doesn't matter what you call them, right? They have these abilities because we all have these abilities. And it's about, again, waking up from the dream and getting out of that. And part of that is understanding how your multi-dimensional electromagnetic body field system works, and that you are the planet. Okay, this is so very important to understand, is that you are a mini map or a microcosm of the macrocosm. Okay, so of the world, of the planet, of the earth, and beyond that, the universe, the galaxies, la 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 la. It's big, it's huge. This is who and what we are. And
Yep.
so thank you, Colin, because I know that you're going to really bring to light some more of this grid work that you were called back to do specifically on certain missions. And this is really exciting. And I have things to integrate and throw in, and I'm sure other people are going to have really, really fun things to add as well. So good evening. Blessed you have power. Let's just dig in.
Yeah, thanks, Chastity. I just did a post on Facebook because I didn't think I'd be able to come on live tonight. But for some reason, miraculous reason, and thank you, Chastity, you probably to do that.
A little bit of magics.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine it and it will become real. Yeah. So energy providers decided that they've stolen enough energy from the grids, and so here I am.
Bless.
Yeah, the post I did was really to help people try to understand what is actually happening on this planet from an energetic perspective, because people don't understand that everything is about energy. You know, when they pick up their cell phones and answer a call, that's energy. It's coming into your consciousness. So you are picking up energy, and the energy affects who you are. You know, the call might be a happy call or not so happy call or whatever. That energy affects who you are. And it's all about energy. Everything in the universe is about energy, and understanding that you are an energetic being, you know. And, you know, I was trained as an energetic, and so I understand this a lot better than most people. But when I kind of graduated out of my 3-year training from my higher selves, they asked me what it was that I wanted to do. And I said, well, I don't really know. So they said, we would like you to become a grid worker. And I'd never heard the term before, and I had no understanding of what that meant. And I said, what do you mean? What's a grid worker? And then they started to tell me about the history of the Earth's electromagnetic grids and how they worked, and how they had been distorted by the Anunnaki and the fallen angelics. And when I learned about that, I thought, if anything, the planet has to restore its natural exchange of energy. Now, how does a grid work? A grid works pretty much like a cell phone grid. You know, we connect with each other through cell phones, and there's a transmission tower that receives and transmits energy and information between one cell phone tower to another. And if you connect it to a cell phone tower, you get connected, and you can pick up not only voice information, but nowadays you can actually connect and receive pictorial
Like this, like
information.
this. Yeah.
Like this, yeah. We are on an energy grid. So that the entire universe actually is an energy grid, and the planet is an energy grid. And prior to the fallen ones taking over the universe here, or taking over Earth here, they our higher selves, because our planet Earth is a fragment of a planet Tara that blew up in Andromeda galaxy, and the 12 fragments of Tara fell into the black hole and came through to become the planets of our solar system.
Now, I want to interrupt. I just want to ask a question. The way that I perceive that is, would you classify Tara as the soul of planet Earth, right? If we're working in bodies, so like the planet Earth, three-dimensional, then would be the physical body. So like we have a physical body, which is planet Earth, and then Tara, who is exploded. Those are the soul pieces, the fragmented pieces, right?
Yeah, we are a fragment of Tara,
Yeah.
but the Earth holds the energy of the fourth dimension, the fourth chakra of Tara, which is the heart chakra.
Yeah.
And so when the beloveds decided to recreate Tara and to bring her back together again, they started with Earth, and they created Earth, or they didn't create Earth, they took Earth and tried to regenerate the energies of the magnetic heart energies of Earth, so that Earth could be in her ascension process, could ascend into the energy grids of Tara and continue a process thereafter to, begin to reconstruct the energies of Tara. It works the same all over the universe.
Right.
It's nothing new. So,
And this is and Earth now is then shifting and moving like our Milky Way, like everything is, and this is us moving into that higher vibration. So basically, when Earth then embodies Tara, right? So when we embody our soul, I'm just trying to break it down a little bit, right? To, for our listeners that understand from this perspective as well. When we collect our soul pieces, or in healing work or whatever, we're going back and collecting, or fixing the fragmented pieces. This is the same thing. Earth is collecting fragmented pieces and putting back together their soul aspect, right? And so then we're moving into the consciousness moves into and not everybody gets that part, right? That they have access to soul level consciousness, and then will come spirit level consciousness, and then avatar consciousness. But as we're shifting and changing, we're also opening up to new harmonics, which we'll get into later. But thank you for letting me interrupt, Colin.
that's fine. No, you said some very important things there. It's how energy works, and when the fallen ones took over the earth, they corrupted the earth's energy grids, and they created this frequency fence around earth by using their technologies, what they called the blank slate technologies, were beamed out from Saturn to Mercury to Mars to our moon. Our moon is actually is not a natural organ. It's an
Pulled in,
unnatural.
yeah,
Yeah,
pulled into our system, where I always looked at it as kind of like a dead star that they could use as a control station, which they do, right? They use it for, false
yeah,
magnetic impulses that pulsate through the body, right?
yeah. So if you think of it as like a cell phone grid, it's just transferring information and energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's what cell phone grids do. And so they had the cell phone grid transferring energy to Earth, but then the fallen ones created um, a false energy grid around the Earth that they called the Falcon and the Phoenix. And you can actually find maps of this on the internet, of these two energy grids that they created. And through this, they created this frequency fence around Earth so that Earth would no longer receive the natural waves from the universe. So they created a storm, in a sense, around the Earth, an energy storm, so that they could control humankind
Right.
through that storm. And they did that very successfully, and they've controlled humans here for 26,000 years.
Yeah.
And humans have just forgotten how it works because they've had their memories wiped. They don't know how it works. They don't know what's happened to them. They just kind of live their lives as if you know, they live their lives according to what they've been conditioned to, they're indoctrinated with, and the information they're given, which is totally false. And they keep repeating history. So there are two parts to this that people need to understand. The one part is having your memory wiped and forgetting who you are and what the universe is and how it works and what your relationship with it is. The second part is they created what is called a wall in time.
Oh, that damn wall in time. I'm telling you what.
Yeah. And that wall in time has kept us on a timeline of low energy frequency.
Yeah.
And because time doesn't work linearly, you know,
Right.
it has a particular way that it works in the universe, because time is just information.
Right.
But if you are controlling the information, you can create a particular narrative that determines the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So remembering that we are mini maps of Earth, right? We are actually, as human beings, we're acupuncture points. This is why we can become really great grid workers and transfer electromagnetic frequencies. This is why we have the ability to heal. So
Yeah.
when we, Ian brings up a question, he says, you know, what are ways to collect your pieces? Well, there are so many ways to collect your pieces. And part of that is, you know, understanding grids. And this is what we're talking about today. So we actually have fragmented pieces in the grid lines, in the ley lines.
Fragmented what?
Fragmented soul pieces, right? This is kind of one of the things. Yeah. So there are pieces, and that's, you know, yeah. So that's collecting our pieces back is like putting, you know, it literally putting out a 911 for our pieces and going searching for them, learning how to connect into your higher self and asking your higher self who knows where these pieces are, right? And
Yeah.
creating that relationship to get them back. But you know, the quarantine or the wall in time is pretty fascinating because there's no quarantine. Like you used to be able to get into Earth, right? So beings could come in, but then nobody could get out. And that's what that frequency fence is, right? No one could get back out. So it's like, once you're here, you're stuck and you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now we're, if I'm understanding correctly, Colin, and you probably see this better than I do, I would assume that it's like the frequency fence is the voltage on it. I'm not going to say it's all the way gone, but the voltage is severely turned down. So that's why there's so many people waking up and getting out. And
yeah, in 2014, I was told that we had been successful in our grid work and that the Earth's natural energy grids had been restored. Now, the Earth's energy grids were crystal pylon grids, okay, that had been inserted into Earth in a particular pattern.
right.
And that controlled what called the meridian lines. It's like the meridian lines in our own bodies, you know. The Earth also has meridian lines. And then there was then they created a pyramidal structure. Now, pyramids are very interesting because they also are receivers and transmitters of energy, but they've all been destroyed, so it doesn't work anymore. But the structure of a pyramid is very interesting because it resembles, in a sense, the Merkaba,
Yes, it does. Very much so.
which is the energy generation system of the soul. You know, it's so they, because we're not able to connect with our, you know, natural energy systems anymore, we still retain the ability, because of our soul bodies and what exists within the soul body, to recreate and become creators
Yeah.
of our own reality, because our reality is being controlled by other beings, because they know how the shit works. We don't know.
Well,
So if you don't know, you better start learning.
you better start learning. Yeah. And, and that's true. They know more about us than we know about us. And that's by design. That's been by design. And so when we talk about, when Colin, when you bring up the grid system that was laid down, the way that I see it is like a holographic blueprint that was put over Earth's natural grids and abilities. And then what they do to control their grids, right, is they put up the wall in time, they put up their own frequency fences. They successfully unplugged our DNA, which is our memory, okay, back, 20, 25, 26,000 years ago. So we no longer had true human history. And then what they did is they start going in and controlling our minds. And when Colin talks about blank slate technology, I'm very, very familiar with this. This is something I see in field work all the time. One of the first places that we go during what many call dream time is that we leave our body, and the first place that we come out from is the fourth dimension, right? And that is the astral realm. The astral realm it's a cesspool. Really, it's a cesspool. There's the most beautiful of humanity's creations to the most disgusting and vile of human creations. And not just human creations. Okay, we're talking dark, really terrible things. And if you have gone out to capture your pieces, okay, during dream time, or which is just another time space continuum, you're always going, rarely are we sleeping, and then you're coming back into your body, you're going back through the astral realm. This is where they use what's called blank slate technology. They actually blank slate you, so you don't remember where you were, what you did. So they're still in complete control of your soul, because you're not in control of your mind. Whoever controls the mind controls the soul. So
Yeah.
it's like this big twisted, like forever running rerun. It's like the Truman Show over and over, or Groundhog's Day over and over, same freaking thing until you wake up.
Yeah. Yeah, and learning how it actually works is very important for people, so that they can navigate their way through this morass that's being created for them.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll go into the second part of the important message that I want to bring, is that because of the wall of time that was created around the planet, we are going to go through a period of time where our memories will be restored. Okay, they're already being restored to many people. But when our memories are restored, we will begin to connect to many other time-space continuum.
Right.
And we will begin to have memory of things that happened in the past. When I say past, I'm talking many other lifetimes ago,
Mm-hmm.
that will start filtering back into human consciousness.
Right.
And when this begins to happen, it's going to be a very difficult time for people to deal with. When your memory gets restored, and I went through that myself as a young, young. I was 53 years old,
Younger.
in my younger days, yeah, it was very difficult to deal with, because you never thought of yourself as being that thing, you know. And there are many, because time here has been told to us is linear. So there's just one timeline for all beings. But that's not how it works in the universe. There are many timelines. There are 1,728 timelines of possibility that exist in any event in time in the universe, which creates an enormous amount of possibilities. But because we've been held in a kind of limitation of experience, and everything that we do is controlled, so we have been limited into the way we think, the way we feel, and we're conditioned in that way. So we don't understand the amazing possibilities of actually going forward in time or backward in time. And this is not new technology that the Earth has to discover. This is the way the universe works.
Yeah.
It's old technology.
Yep.
But humans have got to rediscover what it means to be able to go forward in time and backward in time, and how timelines work, and how to navigate yourself through different timelines, you know. And so when people talk about ascension, essentially what they're doing or speaking about is moving on to a new timeline of consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's really fascinating, actually, because, well, I just want to go back a little bit and talk about what you said about how memories are going to be coming back in, right? So some of us already have that, and that is really doesn't make any one person better than the next, or no more information than the next person, right? So it's actually um, uh, it's not privileged information. There are just some of us here that have already either gathered the information on our own from doing our own personal inner work, or perhaps we came in with the information. Some people are walk-ins and get a different type of information. And you know what's really fun and fascinating, I think, is that we all have different pieces of the puzzle. So we all have different pieces of the story, or even better, pieces of the same story, but from a different perspective, which I think is really beautiful. And people miss that, you know. And then it's another way to divide and conquer, especially I think the spiritual world. It's like, you know, people pointing fingers and saying, you think you know this better and you know that, and you know it. Who do you think you are? There's lots of this happening. It's like, well, I think I'm who I am. And I think that my perspective is just that, my perspective. And you know, again, we all have, and just because, you know, somebody might have stories from Atlantis, some might have stories from Orion, maybe another person chose to not spend any time in Orion because it ended up being a freaking shit show, right? So it's like, you know, you get to choose and say, you know what, I don't want to be part of that one. I'm gonna try this over here. I'm gonna go over here. It's a little quieter, right? So, you know, not chastising other people for their experiences or what type of knowledge they bring in, but instead, you know, instead of judgment, replace with discernment. And I think that that's lacking a lot. Um, but it's going to increase. And so I want to say, you know, shields up and be very mindful, because as our memories come back in, it's going to increase, because then what's going to happen is the fallen angelics, the NAA, the controller groups, whatever you want to say, they are literally, they're crumbling. They're falling apart. They're losing their footing, their ground, their control opportunities and mechanisms. It's all crumbling away. And so when we start getting our consciousness back, they're gonna try again for the stronghold, right? They're gonna rope you in as much as you can. And sometimes it's going to be really hard, especially for a lot of spiritual people, because a lot of their guides or their version of higher self was actually not at all their guides or higher self. What they did was guide them the wrong way. And that can be very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Can be very, very heartbreaking. Um,
Yeah.
so and remembering electrical wars and times like that. I mean, this is going to be really scary for people. And that's part of what the grid work is, clearing a lot of these memories out so some people don't have to suffer, going through these memories. They don't have to suffer. It might not be your job to clear souls out that have had satanic ritual abuse. Okay. That might not be your job, but I know it's mine. Right. So I know that I get to see that and it's not much of a blessing, but, we all have a job to do, and it's time to, to work together. And clearing the ley lines doesn't always mean that you're dream time sleeping and going to clear out ley lines or during meditation time. It also means that you're doing your inner work, that you're being kind to other people, that you're connecting to nature. Some of these beautiful things that Colin, you've already shared, is going through all of the emotions that you hold in your body. Is this mine or is this somebody else's? Where is this coming from? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I angry or mean or sad? Or, what has brought me kindness and gentleness? These kinds of things. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be words we don't understand, right? We can bring it down to back to basics.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I just brought that up because I want people to become aware when things get a little crazy. They should understand how it works energetically.
Yeah.
So, it can be more palatable for people. Um, when I say palatable, I mean, you have to be able to digest it as well. And, if you lack the ability to have different perspectives of the same thing. And you talked about perspectives earlier, which is, what's really the important thing. So you can look at a fish tank from one side and then move to the other side and move to the other side and move to the other side. So you have 4 different perspectives of the same thing. But what you see from each perspective is different from what you viewed, and what people here have been brainwashed into is to look only at one perspective.
Right.
So they only have one viewing point. So it's not about point of view, it's about viewing point and being able to move around the fish tank and gain different viewing points of the same thing. Because when you gain an overall viewing point of the same thing, you get a different point of view.
Exactly.
So people have got to get used to this notion of seeing things from different viewing points, seeing things from the point of view of my enemy.
Mm-hmm.
How does my enemy see this thing? Okay, that's their viewing point. Let me move around the same thing to see if I can see the viewing point that they are viewing this thing from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way we're going to defeat these fallen angelics, because they come here with a different viewing point and they enforce that on us. So we have to learn to walk around the same information, the same thing, the same, and be able to inspect it from different viewing points so that we can understand all points of view. And once we understand all points of view, we might be able to understand their viewing point.
Yeah. Well, yes, we may be able to understand their viewing point, but remembering that they have no compassion. Don't stay there, just view it, right? Because They have
exactly.
no compassion, they have no soul, they don't understand what love is, they don't understand these things. And that's part of understanding their viewing point, right? They don't have human capabilities because they're not human. And that's
Yeah,
really important to understand, which is, and then we can get into a whole nother thing another time, which is why there's hybridization and hybridization traumas, because they try
yeah,
to keep themselves alive by creating different versions of humanity, right? This is,
yeah. They're liars and cheaters and
mm,
stealers. And,
mhm,
they have created an underworld in the universe,
mhm.
and it's called the astral, which you talked about also earlier. The astral is just a semitone below the universal frequencies. So they occupy that in between area of the universe, and have tried to create their own universe because they understood how this stuff works.
Yeah,
So, so they they are they are counterproductive to universal order. That's, people have got to understand that it works energetically, but people can see it.
yeah,
If you look at what's happening in the United States of America now, it's lies upon lies upon lies upon
yep,
lies,
yep,
and it's unconscionable that any beings could be such great liars, because they say it with conviction. They say it as if it's the truth.
mhm,
They say it for only one reason, and that is to get their point of view being the narrative,
yeah, yeah,
so that people who follow the narrative will run down that stream of the narrative,
right.
and it's pathetic.
Well, it is. It is. And, somebody just said to me, it might have been a client, I said, that we can't just always blame everything on the fallen angelics or the NAA, right? We can't, because at what point do we stand up and become responsible for ourselves, right? And for each other? And
Exactly.
I sat on that for a while, because there are a lot of people that will say, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. And it's no different than saying, well, I'm this way because my mom beat me, right? And it's like, you pull yourself together. I don't know if anyone has watched The Incredibles, but when Edna starts smacking Mr. Wonderful, whatever his name is, Mr. Incredible, she's like, pull yourself together, man. So like that's sometimes what I feel like doing, going, come on. I don't, I feel sometimes like, I have to pull myself back to, my center point and go, okay, we're all in our own journey, we're all at our own time. But the most important thing is to learn to take responsibility for yourself, right? And
Yeah,
stop blaming others. And that includes stop blaming the fallen angelics. Learn about them, understand them, learn what's going on, comprehend it. But but stop, like become responsible. Now you know the information, or you can go and find more information. And you don't need to go read anything if you don't want to. You just have to open up your heart and connect with
yeah,
yourself.
and step into your own power.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we are more powerful than they are.
Yes.
They are afraid of the power that we hold,
Yes.
and that's why they do what they do.
Hence the massive fear. Look at the fear people are in right now. It is
Yeah,
massive. And ah, it's really fascinating, actually. I'm surprised that the fear narrative has lasted as long as it has. It's definitely, it's not over. I think you and I were just talking before we went on that, this is a time to kind of like breathe. It doesn't feel like it's a time to rest and breathe, but holding the consciousness, take some deep breaths, because it's like the war over consciousness is just getting going. Okay. It's been going for years and years and years, thousands of years. Okay. This war over consciousness. But because we're only just becoming aware of it, getting out of the frequency fences, it really has only just begun. That's my take on it, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But um, I think
Yeah.
it's a lot.
And it's going to change human consciousness,
Mhm,
whether humans are prepared for it or not. It's going
mhm.
to change human consciousness because, that's how the cycles of the universe work. We're in an ascension cycle, and ascension cycles happen every 26,000 years or so. And, it's inevitable,
Yeah,
because we are not greater than the universe, and neither are the fallen ones.
exactly.
They've got to work, kind of work within that space and try to control it.
They find
But
loopholes.
they can't overall change the way it's going to be.
Agreed.
So if we understood how the universe actually works and understand the power that we have, we can actually break the spell that they've cast on humans quite easily.
Mhm.
But it's going to take a lot of understanding, a lot of growth, a lot of learning, a lot of discipline, and taking responsibility.
Yes.
And it's not that difficult, really. It's in fact, it's quite easy once you understand how it works.
Once you get it, right? Like once you can see, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's like our consciousness is just this tiny little bit off, right? And if you could just make that little tiny adjustment, all of a sudden this flood of energy comes in, and it's like all of a sudden you get it, right?
Yeah,
But I find that interesting. You bring up the black magic, and there's two sides to every coin. The what where we send our intentions to, right? And so we have the same abilities. They have the same abilities, but there are there are dark magic or black magic grids throughout our consciousness, or throughout the earth,
lots
right?
of,
Lots of them,
lots
yeah.
of,
Yeah, there are. There's I one of the things, and I'll share this just little story. I was using I actually was using, my friend designed this like acoustic um sound vibrator, sound healing vibration things, acoustic sound for frequencies. And so instead of listening to guided meditations, I was listening to this frequencies and pulsating it through my body. And it was one of the first times that I was able to go in and do grid work and remember it, right? And like see it. So I don't know, is that called a lucid meditation or something? But we have an art gate here, a mother art gate in Seattle, here in Washington. And so I was brought to the gate, and it's this massive pillar of aquamarine, like ether pillar. It's beautiful. It's absolutely fascinating. And I was able to be in the center of this grid. And then they showed me that I could take that 0 point, right? That 0 point space, and all of a sudden I could see all of the all of the ley lines. And they showed me how to push the arc energies through the ley lines. I'd never seen anything clear so fast in my entire life. I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. I need to do this again. And I was like vibrating. So like my body was like vibrating so much. I thought, oh my gosh, I need some more water. But
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we all have that ability because, Dr. Wilhelm Reich came up with the notion of orgone energy,
Mhm.
uh, and he was able to use that to change weather systems, and to bring in rain, and basically what he was doing was using the energy that that exists in organ. Now, what is organ? Organ is just a combination of water, minerals, and different materials, natural materials. And he was using that energy to change weather systems. It's a very real energy.
Yeah.
And we are all organ beings. We orgasm. We release that energy,
Yeah. Yep.
when we orgasm. So we have amazing abilities to change the energy around in our fields if we would care to learn how it actually works. Um, and I really implore people to go in deeper and learn how this stuff works,
Yeah.
because it's very real. We can change the consciousness of this planet by being that beacon,
Mhm.
that
Acupuncture
organ
point. Mhm.
energy, that transmitter and receiver of energy, and we can actually change this world.
Ah,
The call doesn't require a war if we don't choose to. It just requires us to wake up
yeah.
and realize the power that we actually have within us to change the energy that exists around us, because our reality is made up of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all that it is.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what it is. I love that you bring up the orgasm, that we are organ, right? That's part of my mission is helping people understand how to bring in the Divine Mother and Divine Father, really connecting in with the Christos Sophia, creating that herogamic union, balancing the polarities, understanding how the axational lines work in the body, how we build our wings and how powerful our sexual energies are. I just had a conversation with a friend the other day about when two healed, polarized, healed people, so that two people that have done their inner work and come together sexually and achieve orgasm, the amount of like clearing on this planet and positive experiences from that are, and also the man and woman, if one is healed and the other is needing missing pieces, how sexuality really works and how we heal each other in those ways. I'm not saying going out and sleeping with everybody. That's not my point here. I'm just saying, how these energies can be used as acupuncture points for the earth as well, for true paragamic union, which is done in love, right? And so that love piece kind of needs to be there. But
Yeah, but people should realize when they orgasm together, they exchange soul codes.
mhm,
And higher dimensional beings, use this ability to walk into each other, have the orgasm, and exchange soul codes, because soul codes actually contain information. So it's a way to, in a sense, go to an accelerated form of soul evolution,
yeah,
because it's not just your own soul codes that you accumulating the soul codes of others that you orgasm with,
yeah,
because you agree to have that shared experience
mhm.
of energy exchange, um, uh, and I can't put it any simpler than that.
Can't put it any simpler than that. We have a couple questions, Colin. Um, so I am a name butcherer, so I apologize for saying this incorrectly, but Saiban Gohul, he is saying, um, how am I able to feel with my heart at will? Lately, I am not able to feel gratitude, happiness, and joy with my heart at will. All I know is anger and short temper. Every time I try to feel with my heart, It seems as if my heart is non-existent. I cannot express positive emotions anymore. That makes me so emotional. It's so
Mm.
challenging right now. It's so, so
Yeah.
challenging right now for so many. What do you have to say about that, Colin?
Well, it's as a result of conditioning,
Mhm.
people's their thoughts are conditioned and their emotions are conditioned.
Mm.
So when they are brought up, they're told what is the appropriate emotional response to something like a wedding or a funeral or a baptism or whatever. And then there's this thought conditioning that happens. But when we are so conditioned with conditioned responses and we're not able to feel our own feelings, then we have to really do a lot of work
Yeah.
on. And I understand it's because when I woke up, I was an emotional wreck, really, because I didn't feel my feelings. I
Yes.
couldn't recognize my feelings. My feelings were and kind of an abstract thing that, you know, uh, and so I was very able and capable of being able to provide a conditioned emotional response to something, but I was not able to offer an authentic condition
Yeah.
or authentic response, emotional response to something.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that questioner would really begin to work with that, and it's quite easily, if you want to understand your own emotions, your emotions are a very important part of your soul body.
Hmm.
Your emotions and your thoughts are the energy in your soul body. They convey the energy to the rest of the body. So if you are so conditioned that you can't actually feel your feelings, perhaps come spend some time with me.
It's it's very,
discover
yeah.
discover your own authentic feelings,
Yeah.
because we have to discover our own authentic feelings and not just be brainwashed, beings who, who can't uh, understand our own feelings or have our own feelings.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's a difficult, really difficult path to walk through, because for me it was extremely difficult, and I had to go through a lot of exercises. But I can send this person, if they message me, I can send them a Excel spreadsheet that I use to actually begin to understand my own emotional body, because in there I have something like 120 different emotions,
mhm.
and I analyze them. Which emotions am I attached to and which haven't I felt?
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. That's
And
on this.
once you begin to understand your own emotions, that there's some emotions that you block, you don't want to go there. And there's some emotions that become habits.
Yeah.
We become habitually emotional. So we can't think, we don't behave according to our authentic emotions. We respond or react by our conditioned responses and our conditioned emotions.
And I would say,
People don't understand that the range of emotions we have is vast.
yeah,
It's huge.
it is. It's deep, deep like the ocean, right? And that's part of what emotions are, right? They're a watery element in our, and they're deep. And in the deepness is darkness. And this is, part of shining the light on that. I know when to add to that, I call it clearing the ego or clearing fear, right? Really understanding how to get in touch with the emotions and where they're coming from. And, there were times I went through major anxiety attacks, locked myself in the bathroom, because I have kids. I don't want to have them see me breaking down, right? But really identifying where they're coming from. And a lot of times it came from a source that either wasn't me or was a situation that I hadn't worked through. Sometimes past life stuff, even things like that. So, really sussing out where it's coming from. I'm in complete agreement with you, Colin. I hope that answers your question. Um, let's
Yeah,
see.
and also I just want to add that when I started to unblock my emotions, I cried.
Mm-hmm,
I wept.
mm-hmm,
I was inconsolable
yeah.
to understand that I'd been this emotional wreck all my life, and I was not capable of, expressing authentic emotions. And believe me, rolls of toilet paper, wiping the tears and the snot away because when I began to feel my emotions, it was a really traumatic thing for me.
Yeah.
And so I understand where that person's coming from. It's a terrible, terrible thing, but the best thing you can do is go through that,
Mm-hmm.
go through the experience of feeling your emotions and not being conditioned. What is appropriate? Fuck what's appropriate. Just feel your feelings and get in touch with them.
Okay, I think we should have t-shirts designed that say "fuck what's appropriate." I think that's so perfect. We need t-shirts. Um, okay, I totally agree with you. And the sobbing sometimes doesn't stop for months. So be prepared for that. Troy, hi
Yeah.
Troy. He's saying, I feel limited. How to break through limited beliefs and knowings. How do you break through limited beliefs? Right. I think that's part of the mind control, and being in touch with your emotions as well. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, because this frequency fence that was created around Earth put Earth in a certain timeline, a timeline of limited experiences.
yeah.
So uh, we are in a period of time where we experience limited, experiences.
Mhm.
But the universe, that doesn't isn't the way it's supposed to work in the universe. We are supposed to know everything and experiencing everything. We're supposed to be able to do the impossible, what is called the impossible, because possibility is unlimited in the universe. So it's all because of this. We've been trapped in this frequency of limitation, and I want people to really come to grips with that and to just ponder and just wonder whether unlimited possibility is possible, because it is.
Mhm. It's it this is where I feel like language, so I have to take a deep breath. Like I feel where there's like this huge language barrier, right? Because language is so primitive, especially when, we're speaking through and with or from multidimensional realities, right? It's hard to put into words, but it just sounds so simple if we say you can achieve anything you dream, or you can do whatever you want. You get to choose your feelings, you get to choose your emotions, you get to choose what you do every day, you get to choose what you're capable of. And it sounds so simple. And then the person who hasn't overcome this, and believe me, that's all of us, right? It's like but I can't, but I just can't do it. I just can't see. And it's, maybe the first step is just removing the fact that you believe you have limits. Start waking up in the morning and saying, today is limitless. My emotions are limitless. You know, I can do whatever I set my mind to doing, right? Something simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, that idea of limitations, is unfortunately what humans are trapped into.
Yeah.
Um, there's some people who have gone out and achieved great things. When I say great things, they've made a lot of money, and they're allowed to do that because they then get controlled by the fallen angelics here, and so they become part of the control system.
Yeah.
That's the system we have there. But really, in reality, and I'm talking in universal reality, we are unlimited in what we can do and achieve. I've been into other dimensions, I've been into other planets, I've seen extraterrestrials who big and small and look like spiders and look like bears and look like cats and look like lions and look like all kinds of things. You just allow yourself to be unlimited.
Yeah. I agree. I've been seeing crazy stuff in session work, and maybe we can talk about this next time because we're just about out of time. But how we've opened up a new harmonic, so like a sixth harmonic. So we're talking about 16, 17, and 18D, which many of us have had access to for a while as we've been templating for it, right? So other people have access to it. So, and that's templating the gold body. So I would love for us to be able to talk about that. But because of this, I'm seeing crazy stuff in the field, like full on, like, well, stuff from other planets, other dimensions, other things, you know what I mean? Like more clear where, where remote viewing used to be a lot more challenging, I think. Now it's like, boom, we're just right there. And you get to see what's happening and what's going on and get to the root of the problem. And the good news is everybody's going to have the opportunity to get to the root of the problem. And I
Yeah.
think that that's beautiful. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, maybe we can talk about that in the future, one of the next shows coming up, because we have some beautiful energies that are braiding into our frequencies, braiding into our earth and in our bodies. We have some new help here. And so I just don't want anybody to give up. Turn off your freaking TVs, okay? Even some of the alternative information coming in is infiltrated or laced in fear um, because it is, right? Because not everybody can see everything, right? They're looking at a different
Yeah.
angle of the fish tank. So don't worry about that. Worry about you, focus on you, eat fresh foods, eat clean, drink lots of water. And yeah, I hope that's helpful. I'm so
And,
glad that your internet
and
works.
go surf the waves.
Yes, exactly. Hmm. Yep, that's exactly right. All right. Well, gosh, thank you, Colin. I'm so glad that we were able to hold this light and be together today. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad that we could do this because 24 hours ago we couldn't.
no, it's beautiful. See what you put your mind to, you can do whatever you want to do, right? Let's just make this happen. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much for your questions. If we didn't get to a question, I think we got to all of the ones, but sometimes people, maybe put one in one of our private boxes. And so we can anonymously answer the question for you. And so do know that if you have a question, other people probably have the same exact question.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask it. And we'll do the best we can to answer. All right, Colin.
Love you lots.
So
Beautiful
much.
being.
You're a beautiful being. Stop. Tell me more. I'm just kidding. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.